Michael Jackson's performances often looked absolutely flawless. Every movement seemed perfectly timed. Every entrance appeared carefully planned. Every stage effect seemed to work exactly as intended. But behind the lights, costumes, choreography, and screaming crowds was another reality. Even the king of pop experienced technical failures, dangerous accidents, unexpected interruptions, and moments when the stage simply refused to cooperate. What made Michael Jackson remarkable was not that everything always went perfectly. It was the way he responded when things went wrong. From mechanical failures and sound problems to dangerous stage conditions, these rare moments reveal just how much pressure was involved in creating one of Michael Jackson's legendary performances. The Munich stage collapse. One of the most frightening incidents occurred in 1999 during the MJ and Friends benefit concert in Munich. Michael was performing Earth Song high above the audience on an elevated platform. The performance was designed to create a dramatic visual effect as the platform moved during the song. But something went terribly wrong. As the bridge mechanism was being lowered, a central section reportedly detached and fell. According to the transcript, Michael fell approximately 50 feet in front of thousands of stunned fans. For a moment, what had been a spectacular concert became a potentially life-threatening accident. Yet Michael did something that defined him throughout his career. He continued. Despite the impact, he got back on his feet and carried on performing. The audience could see that something had gone wrong, but many people could not have understood the extent of what had happened. Only after the performance did Michael seek medical attention. The source describes injuries including severe back pain, an ankle injury, and shock, while tour director Kenny Ortega attributed the accident to a mechanical crane failure. A routine stage effect had suddenly become one of the most dangerous moments of Michael Jackson's performing career. The dangerous tour toaster mishap. Michael Jackson was famous for spectacular entrances. During the dangerous tour, one of his most recognizable entrances involved a stage lift that fans later nicknamed the toaster. The concept was simple but dramatic. Michael would appear to launch onto the stage almost instantly, creating the impression that he had emerged from nowhere. But effects like this depended on perfect mechanical timing. During one performance, the mechanism failed. Instead of sending Michael upward as planned, the platform moved slowly while he remained crouched beneath it. The surprise was ruined. Thousands of fans could suddenly see how the illusion worked. Instead of witnessing an apparently impossible entrance, they saw the machinery behind the trick. For an artist whose shows were built around mystery, spectacle, and precision, this was an awkward technical failure. Still, the performance continued. And that was often the difference between Michael Jackson and an ordinary performer. A mistake did not automatically mean the show was over. When Scream started in silence, Michael's concerts were carefully programmed down to individual seconds. That made technical failures particularly difficult. During the History Tour, a performance of Scream reportedly experienced a serious sound problem. The song was supposed to begin with immediate intensity. Instead, the backing track failed to start correctly, and Michael's microphone was also reportedly off during the opening lines. For several tense moments, the audience was left waiting. The performance had suddenly lost the explosive opening it was designed to have. Then the technical problems were corrected. The music returned, and Michael continued. For the audience, it may have lasted only a few seconds. But for a performer standing under thousands of eyes, those seconds can feel like an eternity. The backing track disappears. Another incident involving Scream reportedly happened during a 1996 concert in Brunei. The performance depended heavily on synchronized music, vocals, and stage effects. Then the backing track disappeared. Suddenly, Michael was left without the musical support that had been programmed into the performance. Instead of stopping and waiting for the technicians to solve the problem, he continued. The polished production suddenly became a test of live performance ability. This is where Michael's experience became obvious. He knew that the audience did not necessarily need to know there was a technical failure. His job was to keep the performance alive. Rather than allowing the mistake to destroy the moment, he continued performing until the production recovered. It was another reminder that the technology behind a concert could be incredibly complicated. And sometimes, one failed connection was enough to expose the entire system. The Pepsi fire disaster. Not every accident happened during a concert. One of the most famous incidents of Michael Jackson's career happened during the filming of a Pepsi commercial in January 1984. The production was taking place at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. The commercial was designed to look spectacular, with bright lights, music, choreography, and pyrotechnics. Everything appeared to be going according to plan. Then, during the sixth take, disaster struck. According to the source, the pyrotechnics ignited earlier than expected. Sparks reached Michael and set his hair on fire while cameras continued recording. Within seconds, the situation became a real emergency. Crew members rushed toward him and attempted to extinguish the flames. Michael suffered serious burns to his scalp and was taken to the hospital for treatment. The accident became one of the most painful and consequential moments of his life. It also demonstrated the risks that could exist behind seemingly glamorous entertainment productions. To an audience, pyrotechnics look spectacular. But when timing fails, something designed to create excitement can become extremely dangerous. The Moscow slide mishap. During the dangerous tour in Moscow, Michael reportedly encountered another unexpected problem. The stage surface had become wet, making certain areas unusually slippery. Michael's choreography relied heavily on precise footwork, controlled slides, and sudden stops. A wet stage could therefore become a serious problem. During the performance, one movement reportedly turned into a much longer slide than Michael had intended. For a moment, the choreography appeared to be slipping away from him. But Michael reacted immediately. Rather than showing panic, he adjusted his movement and continued as though nothing had happened. That ability to recover was one of his greatest performance skills. A mistake that could have distracted the audience instead became almost invisible. The fans saw Michael Jackson continuing to perform. They did not necessarily see the performer calculating how to recover from an unexpected loss of traction. The anti-gravity lean goes wrong. Few Michael Jackson moves are more recognizable than the famous smooth criminal lean. Michael appeared to bend his body forward at an angle that seemed physically impossible. But the illusion required specially designed footwear and stage mechanisms. The shoes were designed to connect with specially positioned pegs in the stage. When everything worked correctly, Michael could lean dramatically forward while maintaining the illusion that gravity had somehow stopped applying to him. But the trick had a weakness. The shoe had to connect correctly. During performances in the mid-1990s, the mechanism reportedly failed on some occasions. The heel could miss the stage peg, and when that happened, the illusion could disappear instantly. Instead of leaning safely, Michael had to recover his balance. The audience might have interpreted the movement as part of the choreography, but behind the illusion was a very real physical risk. One misconnection could turn a legendary stage effect into a dangerous fall. The Bangkok backstage collapse. Not every performance problem involved machinery. In 1993, during the Dangerous World Tour, Michael reportedly collapsed backstage before a scheduled concert in Bangkok. The source described severe dehydration as the immediate problem. The concert had to be canceled. Thousands of fans had expected to see one of the biggest performers on Earth. Instead, they were left waiting for a show that would never happen that night. The incident also reflected the enormous physical demands of Michael's career. He was traveling constantly, performing elaborate concerts, rehearsing complicated choreography, moving between countries, and maintaining a level of physical performance that required tremendous energy. Later in 1993, Michael acknowledged a dependency on pain medication and announced that he would seek treatment. The remaining dates of the Dangerous World Tour were eventually canceled. What began as a backstage medical emergency became part of a much larger turning point in Michael's career. When a fan reached the stage, another frightening situation happened when a fan managed to get dangerously close to Michael during a performance. Michael was suspended above the audience as part of the show when a determined fan reportedly bypassed security and climbed toward him. The situation immediately created a security problem. Thousands of people were watching. The stage machinery was operating. Michael was elevated above the crowd, and someone had entered an area that was supposed to be restricted. Yet the performance continued. Michael remained focused while security dealt with the situation. Instead of allowing the unexpected interruption to completely destroy the concert, he continued interacting with the audience. It was another example of how performers sometimes have to make decisions in real time. No rehearsal can perfectly prepare someone for every possible situation. The power of silence during Billie Jean. Not every unforgettable stage moment involves something going wrong. Sometimes Michael Jackson demonstrated his control simply by doing almost nothing. During the 1988 Bad Tour at Wembley Stadium, his entrance into Billie Jean became an example of how powerful silence could be. Michael walked toward the center of the stage. He adjusted his fedora, and then he waited. Thousands of fans were screaming, yet Michael remained almost completely still. That silence created anticipation. The audience knew what was coming, but Michael made them wait. When the music finally began, the release of tension made the moment even more powerful. This was not a technical accident. It was technical mastery of a different kind. Michael understood that movement was not always necessary. Sometimes stillness could be just as dramatic. The Job Gone rumor. One of the most interesting stories from Michael's live performances involves a moment that was reportedly misunderstood for years. During a 1996 concert in Brunei, Michael performed I Just Can't Stop Loving You with singer Marva Hicks. During the performance, there was an interaction involving his longtime musical director Brad Buxer. The moment led to a rumor that Michael had fired Buxer live on stage. Some fans believed Michael said something resembling Job Gone after a timing issue. However, according to the source, the story was not true. The interaction was reportedly connected to handling the live arrangement. Buxer continued working with Michael afterward. What looked like an argument or public firing was actually a professional team dealing with a technical moment in real time. It is a perfect example of how easily a few seconds on stage can become an exaggerated story once thousands of people begin discussing what they saw. The final Thriller rehearsal. Thriller remained one of Michael Jackson's defining songs decades after its release. The song had become a cultural phenomenon, but Michael continued to approach it with the same attention to detail. Later productions expanded the original concept with larger visuals, advanced technology, and theatrical staging. Yet the fundamental challenge remained the same. The timing had to be precise. The choreography had to work. The vocals had to fit the production. And the atmosphere had to retain the dark, cinematic feeling that made Thriller so famous. Even after decades, Michael continued treating the performance as something that needed preparation. That dedication is part of what made his work so distinctive. The Smooth Criminal illusion. Smooth Criminal combined music, storytelling, and choreography into one unforgettable performance. The song itself had a dark, cinematic atmosphere inspired by classic noir imagery. But the stage performance became even more famous because of the anti-gravity lean.